What have you missed the most during lockdown? What is it, our human values in the present day and age? How do you feel to be surrounded by robots or technology? What is it really that our human values are? During the COVID-19 pandemic, we've learned how fragile we are, but also how great we are. We were all human superheroes. What have you missed the most during lockdown? Technology couldn't replace the human touch, the hugging, the handshake, the human face-to-face interactions, and the social connections. But we've learned how to be human again. We've learned what really matters in life. And as AI and other technologies are taking over, we have to ask ourselves, what are uniquely human abilities? What is it that we are strong in? And what is it that distinguishes us from machines? So this is why we have to change our educational system and also somehow our working environment. Technologies such as artificial intelligence or data mindsets are even better in doing repetitive tasks, even more precisely, error-free, and also faster and maybe more efficient. So this is that we take the routine and maybe repetitive tasks to machines or an AI, because on the other side, we can do whatever we want to do then to foster our human skills. So it's not a race against machines. It should be humans with machines. It's a human with machines age and not a human versus machines age. So let us all together foster what are our human abilities and let us strengthen those abilities. Let us take the example of humans and medicine, doctors and robots. In the health sector, it is, of course, there are working humans because there are doctors in every kind of sector. But of course, in medicine, also doctors are working together with technology. Is it an AI or maybe also just data? So the AI or maybe the technology is supporting the doctor in their diagnosis. And maybe sometimes it's also more efficient and more error-free and maybe also more precise than a doctor could have done. And here you can see that humans and machines are working together and that they are more of 100% output in the end. And you maybe already heard about the robots that maybe other people have support from, that they are not alone in their homes, for example, in Japan. And I think it's really good that robots are there, but of course, that doesn't replace the human being. But for the elder people, it's good that someone is at home and they don't feel alone again. And this is also, of course, really important for their own health. Because in the end, it's also about your soul, how you're feeling, if you're getting better or not. And of course, if you, for example, also get a diagnosis, I don't think that we want to have it like from a really cold robot who is saying you have cancer. We really want to have this kind of like human connection. And so the medicine is a good example how doctors and technology can work together. And through the COVID-19 pandemic, we've all kind of like got the digital mindset. We've learned how, from one day to another to do Zoom calls, and maybe, okay, that's maybe not that crazy digital, but we all knew how to sit in front, have the screen, and have this kind of like, connection through the computer. But in the end, and home office was a really cool experience. But in the end, a lot of people were missing this kind of human interaction and this kind of thing when you get your coffee in your working environment and you really have this kind of like communication set up. So the future skills will be about both sides of the West world. It will be about digital skills, but of course also about human skills. And human skills we need more than ever. So the future skills will be a digital mindset combined with the more human skills. And now you ask yourself, okay, what are actually human skills? The easy answer is human skills are the skills we have that a robot or machine can't do. These are, for example, skills, empathy, emotional intelligence, and the 4 C's like creativity, critical thinking, communication, and cooperation. But also like the human touch, a heartbeat, and maybe also, for example, the humor, original thought, and so on. So please be aware of your human skills and train these skills. And this is where I'm coming to the school system. And from one day to another, we had, the homeschooling. I don't know if you were aware of that in the audience, if you were a parent, for example, and had your kids doing the homeschooling together. And I think it was like a really crazy time. But the good thing is that we fostered the digital transformation even faster than we had to. And the fact is actually we failed in digital education because many universities, schools, and also many countries were not prepared for doing digital downset. So in the end, it was actually our humans that kind of like fostered us through this pandemic. And the good thing is that a teacher, for example, can't be replaced by a robot. And there again, we came into the human skills. We need the future of education will be around teachers that will be more entrepreneurial, more tech-savvy, more a coach or mentor than someone who is like really standing in front of you and is giving a lecture. As the students, I think the students of the future should get a teacher or a professor that is really strengthen them in their personalities, in their strengths they have. So on the other side, the teacher of the future and also the future of education will be about getting into this more human side. And this also means that we need to kind of like rethink what kind of exam formats we will have in future. Because multiple choice exams won't prepare you for the future. I, by myself, I'm really lucky that I never had to do any multiple choice exams. And of course, there are a lot of advantages. For example, it's a standardized tests where it's easy to create and it's subjective and you have like a guideline. But there's like no human skill or future skill trained with that. Of course, you have to learn everything. But I guess in the end, we need to, with those exam formats, we need to get into the point where students are getting trained with their human skills. And that means that, for example, we have to train those skills with a critical mindset. And I want to show you 3 examples of how I'm doing that. And I will start in the right corner. So when I was like at universities, I studied at different universities all over Europe. And for example, team spirit is something that you can't train by multiple choice exams. So in the end, I don't want to have this elbow society And also through the corona pandemic, we've learned that we really need to work together. And also in our universities, in schools, already in kindergarten, you have to train the team spirit. And you also have to train your personal skills and personal strength. Let the students choose what kind of exam formats they really think they would get the best mark out of it. And on the right side, you see me where I'm preparing for my presentation, because in Copenhagen, I had the possibility to choose in every class my kind of exam format, what I thought would be the best of my own personal strength. And in the middle, you see me when I'm doing some kind of haptic gloves tests in Cambridge, where you combine theory and practical learning. And I think this is something which is also important, that we don't just learn something, but we also have to do it on the hands-on case. And that's why, for example, 24 hours or 48 hours exams, where you either do it alone or also in a team, that you really are getting into that, and that you're really training it to gather a business case, for example, which is also you're really under time pressure, and you really have to have a structure, you have kind of critical thinking, and so on. So I can only encourage you that the future of education is about, to choose digital literacy, but also to choose your exam formats more precisely. And when we are coming to technology, AR or VR is also a good thing in education, because, for example, when you want to learn about the moon landing, I think it's completely better to have it on your class and to really see how it worked, how Neil Armstrong was getting on the moon. And also, for example, when you have a VR class and you want to describe the molecular model of a DNA, it's quite better to have it on your eyes than just getting it read from a teacher. So technology can also help to get education easier, but also more fun and more experimental and more hands-on. So the future of education is both. It is the technology combined with the human skills. And in the end, I want to say that the past is already written, but the future is left for us to write. We have powerful tools, openness, optimism, and the spirit of curiosity. And this is a quote from Star Trek, and I think it's quite funny to look into the stars and to really be aware of your human skills. The skills like emotional intelligence, empathy, communication, creativity, the human touch, the hugging, the heartbeat, all the skills a robot or machine will never do, because you can't train, for example, an intuition. It's impossible. So I want to encourage you all here, even if you're educators or not, train yourself. It's a lifelong learning challenge, of course, the human skills. And in the end, we have to combine the best of both worlds, the digital world and the human world. And of course, an AI has to fit into our world, because it's a human-machine interaction. And please keep in mind or remember what your first thought was when I asked you, what have you missed the most during lockdown? I believe in humanity. Do you? Thank you.